Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and another viewer suggested or inspired financial year 23 result video. And the feature company in this one is Supply Network. Now, I have done at least one video on this company in the past. In fact, I did a Neppy's analysis on Supply Network. So if you want a more in-depth analysis on this company, particularly what they do, have a look out for that video. But the shorter form or shorter definition of what this company does is they provide aftermarket parts to the commercial vehicle industry. Now, before my last video on Excelsior, or during my last video on Excelsior Capital, I did draw out two companies from my Yellowstone hat, and these companies I'll be doing a video next, and those companies were Supply Network, that's why I'm doing this video, and Atlas Pearl. And before this particular video, I drew out the next four companies I'll be doing a video on, and they are MA Offshore, Rectifier, Whitehaven, and Silk Logistics. And hopefully I'll be able to do these videos fairly quickly, because at some point in time, I do want to do at least two videos a day. So watch out for these videos within the next week or so. Now onto Supply Network's financial year 23 results, and these were really good numbers. Spectacular increase in revenue, up to 252.3 million, an increase of 27% on the previous year. Profit up 37% to 27.4 million. And because profit increased at a greater rate than revenue, automatically we know that margins have expanded for this company. And in fact, gross margins are up to 42%. And we'll have a look at the gross margin history when we look at the revenue and profit history of this company. Operating cash flow, 14.1 million. Now that is a little bit lower than the number this company would have reported, because I actually do take away lease liabilities from the operating cash flow. Because in my opinion, leases, or the payment of leases, are part of the day-to-day business of a company. And the free cash flow just below 10 million at 9.8 million. This company does have a little bit of debt, only 3.3 million. So that's not too high. And in fact, I would not be worrying about debt of 3.3 million for this type of company. Equity for Supply Network increased really nicely over the past year, up from 59 million to 77.8 million. And I do look at equity for most companies, and I want to see equity increasing over time. For those who don't know, you can just find equity in the balance sheet. It's actually the last number, or if you want to go the harder route, you can just take a look at the net assets and the net liabilities and minus the liabilities from the assets, and you get equity or net assets or book value of the company. And the book value of Supply Network at the end of financial year 23 was 77.8 million, which means now we can calculate return on equity. We have the profit and the equity. Now, my number I used for equity in my calculation of return on equity was just the average over the past year. So you just take the start number, which was 59.3 million, the end number or end equity 77.8 million, and that is the average sort of in between that, which was about 67, 68 million. And the return on equity for this company was a really nice 35%. That is quite high. Return on invested capital, 25.5%. Now, in my opinion, return on equity and return on invested capital are good indications, not absolute, just good indications of the quality of a company. And if you see those two metrics as high as 35% and 25.5%, that's a good sign that a company is high quality. And that's why I would consider Supply Network, or even Core Supply Network, a high quality company. Shares on issue, only 41.6 million. That does seem a fairly low number, particularly when some companies on the ASX have 6 billion shares on issue. Now, the main problem of that few shares on issue is perceived lack of liquidity. And I have heard some experts say the only problem with Supply Network is low liquidity. And to me, that's not a problem, because every single day you will see, or say most days, you will see shares traded on or for Supply Network. Now, at a share price of around $15 million, that means the markup is $630 million, while the enterprise value is $633 million. And again, as I mentioned before, back in 2009, this company had a markup of less than 10 million. So over 15 years, the market cap of this company has grown from 10 million or less than 10 million to 630 million. That's a 60 bagger, over a 15-year period. So for any of those lucky shareholders who had Supply Network shares back in 2008, 2009, and they've held their shares over the past 15 years, this company has been a significant wealth creator for those shareholders. Now to the valuation metrics for Supply Network. Now, the P/E ratio of 23 in isolation really doesn't tell us much, because is that expensive or cheap for this company? The reason I say that is one of the things I like to do is compare the P/E ratio or any sort of valuation metric of a company right now compared to historical ranges. And if you do look at the P/E ratio history of Supply Network, you'll see and notice that the P/E ratio of this company has been steadily growing over the past 10 years. In fact, back in 2013 and 14, the P/E ratio of Supply Network was just above 10, which means not only has this company seen financial expansion, this company has also gone through a period of multiple expansion. So the market is more and more willing to pay a premium for this company because of their financial expansion. So P/E ratio 23, which doesn't seem too stretched for a company that is growing at a pretty good rate that Supply Network is doing right now. Price to sales ratio 2.5. EV to free cash flow. This is my only problem when I do look at the valuation metrics. That is a little bit stretched at 64.6. Main reason behind that is because the free cash flow for this company was significantly lower than the profit. So that is one thing I'd probably like to dig a little bit more deeper into when I look at these companies' financial reports, is why was the free cash flow only $9.8 million? And that means the enterprise value of free cash flow is 64.6, which again is quite high, much higher than what I'd like to see. Also did a reverse DCF based off the earnings per share. And to justify the current valuation and get a return of about 10% per year, the earnings per share of Supply Network would have to increase at 15.5% per year, which is sort of what they've been doing over the past 5 to 10 years. In fact, I'm going to have a look at the number right now. Let's have a look at the earnings per share increase over the past, say, 5 to 10 years. 15.6% over the past 10 years, 28.8% over the past 5 years. So they definitely can reach that 15.5% per year, particularly if they keep this momentum going that they have seen over the last 5 years. So I wouldn't necessarily call Supply Network expensive right now, particularly if they can maintain this growth. Now to the financial history for Supply Networks, looking at revenue, gross margins, and income or profit over the past 10 years. First thing I look for, and the main thing I'm looking for here, is growth in revenue and growth in profit. And Supply Network has definitely shown the market that. In fact, revenue has more than tripled over the past 10 years, while profit has more than quadrupled over the past 10 years. So revenue has gone from 81 million to 252 million, while profit's gone from 6 million in 2014 to 27.4 million. Now, one thing here I've also included is gross margins. And it might seem like gross margins have been dropping over the past 10 years, but gross margins have been consistently between 41.5% and 43.5%. And right now, they're sort of in the middle at about 42.3%. So to be honest with you, nothing too concerning when we look at the gross margins. Now onto the charts, and I'll go through this fairly quickly because it's self-explanatory. When you look at Supply Network's weekly chart going back to 2013, share price has increased from about $1.50, $2, all the way up to current share price of about $15.50. And the share price has been in uptrend throughout the last 10 years. In fact, when you look at the weekly chart, there's been no sign of the end in the uptrend. And that lack of sign of any end in the uptrend is also evident when we look at the daily chart. So this is going back to March 2021. So there has been periods of time when the share price has struggled a little bit, but usually that's over a short period of time. So back in the middle of 2022, share price did drop a little bit. Did look like possibly the share price would be moving into a daily downtrend, but then the share price started going higher in July of 2022. And the share price just keeps on creeping higher, and the share price is at an all-time high. Share price did pull back a little bit the other day, but that's just after the share price reached that all-time high. So the weekly chart looks awesome. Daily chart looks awesome. Great growth in this company. So things are looking great for Supply Network, no matter what you're looking at. So things are looking great for Supply Network, yet I am not a shareholder of this company. If you are a shareholder of Supply Network, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Supply Network, their financial year 23 results, and also the future of this company. So all these numbers we're looking at is just the past. So can this company maintain this momentum over the next 5 or 10 years? And maybe you do have opinion either way. Maybe you think they won't, maybe you think they will. I'd love to hear different opinions on this company. So leave your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.